I want to kind of treat this almost like a billing Q&A. We can kind of maybe rotate through everyone, and you can kind of explain a little bit of how you want the service, or kind of how you do your billing, and I'll show you the best way to set it up and manage it. And if anyone has any specific questions on billing or how to, stuff like that, we can address them as well. But Mel, do you maybe want to kick us off here? If you'd like. I don't know how long you've been using the service program, or if you just started, please let me know. Otherwise, if you maybe explain a little bit about kind of what you guys do as a company and how you handle the billing side, I can then maybe show you the best way to handle it in the service program. Mel, I'm not able to hear you. I don't know if you're trying to talk. I don't know if your microphone is working on the computer, or maybe it's easier to dial in on the conference call number. Tony, would you like to maybe get us going?
Yeah, we're actually completely brand new to all this, so we're just starting to learn about it.
What do you guys do? Well, what's kind of your industry?
We're portable toilets.
Okay. I can certainly show you a quick little run through of the rental side of our software and billing. Again, I'm going to be very brief with this because the rentals are so complex. There's many different ways to run billing. I'll show you a couple of the most common ones, and then I would definitely then recommend the next class you guys see or attend is our rentals class, which is an hour-long solely on rentals, setting up inventory, stuff like that.
Okay.
We'll definitely get you going. But in the service program, if you're doing any type of equipment rental, portable toilet, stuff like that, we can run billing in a couple different ways. We can do billing in advance or in the rear, based either on a 28-day cycle or a full calendar month. We can also do short-term billing, where you're billing basically just upon return if you're doing short-term daily rentals, or in the case of portable toilet special events, weekend rentals, we can invoice ahead of time. That way you can then receive payment and collect that amount up front before you do like that special event or the weekend rental.
Okay.
Now, to enter a rental transaction, which is what's used for billing for the rentals, we would go to rental info, enter a new rental. So every time a customer calls in and would like something rented out, we need to fill out one of these rental transactions. And we can simply pick a customer. I can pick an item that I'm renting out. I don't know if I have, nope, don't have any portable toilets. Let's see what I have. So let's say I'm renting out a fountain or whatever piece of equipment you're renting.
Okay.
I then could select between available serial numbers. If you are going to set up serialized inventory and track, unit numbers, what's available, you would set that up on the rental inventory list itself.
Okay.
And actually, let me use that item of pump because it has some serial numbers in there. So now this shows me only items that are available to rent. So I can grab one. And if I double-click on the price, it shows me for this particular unit, I've got a daily charge, a weekly, and a monthly rate. And I'm telling the software to to prorate this item. You don't have to prorate. What prorating will do for you is if let's say you bill on a calendar month and you bill in the rear, so at the beginning or at the end of every month, you bill for that previous month. And let's say this customer rented it out today on the 14th. Well, on the 31st of August, you would run your billing, and this $100 will be prorated from the 14th to the 31st automatically, if prorate is checked. And then now the customer's on the same billing cycle with the rest of your accounts. The next month, there'll be a full monthly charge. And then also on the return side, if they return it early, and let's say you've already billed them for a portion of it, it'll tell you, okay, this is their prorated final bill. It's either going to be a credit if you bill in advance, or if you bill in the rear, it will show you that shortened prorated amount for how long they've had it out.
Okay.
Monthly is either calendar month or 28 days. When we go to do the billing here in just a second, we define how many days is basically what is monthly, how many days is monthly. So you can, it doesn't necessarily, if you do 28 days, mean that this is going to bill it on the calendar month.
Okay.
Now, if we have any other type of charges, let's say that I have to charge a delivery fee. So I could add that on here. There's no serial number for delivery fees. It's just a standard kind of rental charge. Let's say $15, and I'm going to tell my delivery fee to run once, and my billing increment is going to be flat rate, meaning I really don't want any prorating going on. I just want to invoice this extra $15 along with the rental. Run once means it's only going to show up on their first invoice, and then any subsequent billing for the following months, that delivery would be hidden, I guess, if it's a good word. It wouldn't show up on their invoice.
Okay.
So now I've entered this rental. I can hit close here, and if I go to items rented, I would now see everything that's currently rented in the system, and we have invoice number 9, which is what we just entered together. So now let's bill for it. So let's assume that you're, do your billing on a calendar month, and it's the end of August, and we need to generate our invoicing that goes into QuickBooks. So I'm going to go to Rental Info, Billing, Run Billing. I need to pick the ending date of the billing period. So we're billing for August, so we'll do 8/31. If you were doing a 28-day billing cycle, and just to make it easy, let's say you're billing, the 1st of August through the 28th, that's your 28-day billing period for the month of August, your ending date would be the 28th here, and you would put 28 days in your billing cycle.
Okay.
If you are doing a calendar month, this number in the billing cycle is going to change from month to month. In August, it's going to be 31. In June, it might have, it would have been 30. So that number will flip around a little bit. And I'm going to generate my pre-billing. Nothing's going into QuickBooks yet. I'm just creating a batch. Now I can hit View. So here's everything ready to be invoiced. We've got, if we just look at the top one here, which is one we entered, we've got our fountain, the pump from the 14th to the 31st. It's prorated, so it's giving me a charge of $58.06. And then my $15 flat rate charge is tacked on there. I could set my billing date, which is the date I want these to show up in QuickBooks as the invoice date. And I could hit Post to QuickBooks, and that's going to send everything on this list and create invoices in QuickBooks for me automatically.
Okay.
So now everything has disappeared off this screen, so that means it's all been invoiced. Now if I flip over to QuickBooks, the invoice in QuickBooks, just how it was in the service program. Really easy. Now there are other go ahead, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Now to make them reoccurring, because we have tons of toilets that they just stay there, we just build them monthly if they've been used. Do we do that in the memorization on the QuickBooks, or is there something on the service program that we put in to have them continually build the same toilet too?
That's the rental transaction that we entered.
Okay.
You enter one of these for everything that is rented, and this every month you would do that billing like I just showed you, and that would generate your invoices for everything that's rented, and then once the unit's returned, or let me rephrase that, until the unit is returned, it continually bills every month. It'll show up in that batch.
Okay.
So that, let me just show you that. So we're in this rental. Let's say, if you look now, we billed it through the 31st. So my next bill date for these has now 9/1. So that changes automatically for me and shows me, okay, this is basically billed through the 31st. And let's say sometime in September they return the unit. So let's say on the 11th they return it. I can put in a return date and hit Return All. It's going to ask me, do I want to invoice these items? I can hit Yes. And then at the end of the day, I could go to my pending transaction list, which would have anything like returns or stuff ready to be billed, and it's generated a final prorated amount of just under $40 from the 1st to the 11th. The delivery charge didn't show up again. Now, if they didn't return it and I ran my billing by going to that billing, generate billing, and then putting in my ending date of 9/31, you know, that customer would have showed up again for another month until we marked it as returned.
Okay.
Now, if we're doing like a special event weekend type rental where most of the time, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of our customers who do that, you know, you charge them like a flat rate, $175 for the weekend. We deliver it on Friday, we pick it up on Monday.
Yes.
So what we can do there is you would do something very similar to this rental transaction, except we would probably tell it not to prorate. We would put in our flat rate billing increment of, you know, let's say 175 or whatever your flat rate was for that rental. And I could, as soon as I enter this, I could just hit post to QuickBooks. That creates an instant invoice in QuickBooks for me. That way I can receive payment right away, run the customer's credit card if you do a deposit or you charge them for the full thing up front. And it's, you know, you can then immediately print an invoice out of QuickBooks, give it to the driver for when he goes and does that delivery.
Okay.
Now that very, very quick and dirty. There's a lot more ins and outs to the billing. We can do a lot. I can really get into detail, but I think that's all just kind of scratch the surface of it. Like I said, join that. Probably first would be better a beginner's class so you can kind of get the feel of the software, of where everything is, and then do a rentals class, and that'll be an hour long of just how to set up the inventory, step by step, how to enter one of these transactions, and all the different fields, what they do, what they mean.
Okay.
And Tony, I'm going to jump on to someone else now. If you have any other questions, stuff like that, please feel free to interrupt or stop me. And just want to make sure if anything pops into your head, just let me know.
Okay, thanks.
Mel, did you get on the conference call? Can you hear us now, or can I? Let's see. I don't know if. No, I don't know if you can hear you. It looks like you have yourself muted. I can't unmute you. I don't know if you are. Oh, there we go. You there?
Hold on. Are you there?
Now I can hear you. Great.
Okay. Okay. Sorry.
No worries.
I've only been using QuickBooks and Service Program for about 3 weeks. The owner is with me as well. She's been using it about a year.
Okay. So you guys have been using the Service Program for about a year?
I have been using the Service Program for about a year. The only thing I'm using the Service Program for is my routing right now, but I know we can do more with it, and we kind of want to do the billing, so I'm not double inputting my work.
Yeah, now how do you, we have a couple different ways we can manage the billing with the route schedule for the reoccurring service. How do you charge your customers? Is it just like a flat monthly rate for service, or do you actually charge them like per service?
Per service, and see, the thing about it is, some of them I do once a month, like the first week of the month I do in and out, and that's a different price, and then the rest of the weeks of the month is outside only, and that's a different price.
Okay. So the way we would have to handle that, you know, from the route schedule, and I think now, just because you said in and out and outside only, I remember, I think you were working with one of our other trainers last week on this. Okay. So if we have a customer on the schedule for, let's say, a weekly service, and let's just say it's being serviced today. Now, you said, like, beginning their first service of the month, they're
in and out.
One price, and then the rest of that month is a different price?
A different price, yes.
Okay. The easiest way to probably manage this is I'm going to set up some frequencies here a little differently. I'm going to create a week 1 frequency, a week 2.
We didn't do that.
going to set each one of these weeks to be 28 days long. And this may not make a lot of sense yet, but
no, it makes sense. We set it as week 1, and then everything else just is weekly, and that's how we could figure out how it wouldn't roll over.
Yep. So now what we would do is let's put a customer on week 1, and we'll put them on a route for today, let's say. Actually, let's do this. You said their first visit in the week. Let's just say they're Monday.
Yeah.
Pick a customer. And then if they're weekly, they would be on the schedule a second time for the next Monday. Now, if a customer is biweekly, the nice thing about this is you could put them on, if a customer's weekly, they're going to be on the schedule 4 times. If they're biweekly, they're going to be on the schedule twice. They're either in weeks 1 and 2 or weeks 3 and 4. If they're weekly, they're in weeks 1 through 4. If they're monthly, you get to pick what week of the month. If you want them on week 1 of the month or 2. So here now is my weekly customer set up using a 4-week frequency system. So now I've got them on the schedule. I need to put in their billing stuff. I'm just going to put some notes here that this one's supposed to be my in and out. This one, the rest of these are only out. And I just muted you, Mel. I'll unmute you here in a second. I'm getting a little static. It sounds like there's maybe a fan behind you or an AC unit. I'll unmute you here in a second. So I've got my customer on the schedule 4 times. First one's in and out. Now I just need to double-click the customer name and go to pricing. So here I would have, you have to use different line items. You're probably going to need 2 different items, a in and out and just an out. But I'm just going to pick 2 items here and then hopefully it'll make sense. Let me just see what we've got. So let's say this is our in and out item, and we only do this item on week 1. And then that this is a set price of $75 for that service. And then we could have a, let's say this is just the outside. And we could do week 2, and this is $45. Outside, week 3, and this would give you the ability to then set up multiple prices for each different service if different ones are different prices. On week 4. So does this make sense for you guys so far? I mean, I think this is kind of what you went through last week, right?
Yes, that makes a lot more sense how you explained to set it up. We didn't have it quite like that.
Okay.
So
and
what if there
now
are 5 weeks in that month? At 5th week, I'm still going to do them out.
In that scenario, you're going to have to, there's nothing we can do to account for that scenario. If a customer, I can show you a couple reports you could run before you do your monthly billing that would show you every customer you serviced more than 4 times, and those would probably just be a handful of customers that you would have to go in and just modify their tickets before you send them into QuickBooks. So it may take you 30 minutes once a month.
Okay.
So now what we would do is either through the mobile device or through the desktop software, for every service we need a route ticket. So from the desktop you can auto-generate route tickets under Route Info. And let's say we are going to create our tickets for the 4th here, we would generate. If I go to view tickets, here's the ticket for the service on the 4th, and it would have my in and out for 75. And then we would go through the week. You know, you would do that. You would create your tickets for the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th for all the other customers. And then at the end of the week, you would need to post the route. So we would come here and tell the software everything we did from the 4th to the 8th has been complete, post route. So my week 1 leapfrogs 28 days. It leapfrogs 4 weeks and is now set up on 9/1, that first Monday. So in this scenario, it's going to work perfect for this customer. You know, first of the month again, they get an in and out would show up. But the next service is week 2, which is just the outside, and it's on 8/11. So we're going to generate our tickets for the 11th. Again, we could view the tickets just to check. Now we have 2 tickets for this customer, one dated the 4th, one for the 11th. If I look at the ticket by double-clicking this order number, I can see it should have just charged the outside for 45. Perfect. We're going to kind of do the same thing for the rest of the month. I'm going to do it real quick, though. We're going to post the route for the following week. So now that leapfrogs and is set up for the next Monday for week 2. And now we can generate our tickets for the 18th. And I'm also, while I'm here, just going to go ahead and do it for the 25th. And we would mark all that as being done. And now our schedule is set up for September. So we basically just quickly mimicked a whole month of going through the service program. You would generate your tickets for the whole week. At the end of that week, you move your route forward. That moves the dates of the customers for their next scheduled service forward. And then along the way, for every service, for every customer, you get 1 ticket. So if we go to Route Info and now look at our route ticket list, we can just right-click on this customer's name, filter by selection, or I could just pick it in the drop-down here. And I can see for this month we've got 4 services. And what we can actually do is go to Route Info. We can go to Route Schedule versus Tickets. And this is going to show me, I could basically put in a date range for the month. So I could say in the month here, for the month of August, it's going to show me all of the scheduled stops and the number of tickets. So if a customer name appears more than 4 times in a given month, those would be the ones you would need to know. You have to change that last dollar amount. This is one way to get that information of which ones you need to edit. The other is maybe a little easier. So we want to get all of these tickets into QuickBooks. Now we can send them one by one. If I open up a ticket and hit Post to QuickBooks, that would send the invoice for 8/4 alone as an individual invoice. We don't want that. What I'm assuming is you guys want it all nice and combined into one invoice per month per customer, and then we can even date those invoices on the we can date the individual invoice for the customer with all the dates of the service for that month. So let's look at that. From the top menu here, when it's time to do monthly billing, we're actually going to go to Tickets Pending to Post. And think of that as everything pending to go to QuickBooks. You would put in the date range that you're billing for. Now this is the screen that would show me, a great way to show me, okay, that's the in and out, outside, outside, outside. If you have a scenario where you're seeing 2 in and outs for one customer in the same month, that's where we could just easily then double click that, go change it, the price for that one time, just hit close, and then you could go to the next ticket if you had to fix it. So it's real easy to fix it right before you invoice it into QuickBooks. And then here, our posting date, again, is our invoice date in QuickBooks. Since I'm billing for August, maybe I want to show the 31st as the invoice date, and I would hit Post to QuickBooks. Oh, she may be... that one of these line items is not in QuickBooks. I will have to look at that. I think not all my items exist in QuickBooks, so it's giving me an error. What the invoice is going to look like in QuickBooks, we use a field called service date. So to turn that on, we're going to want to go to Formatting up in QuickBooks and go to Customize Data Layout. And in the Columns section here, we want to turn on service date on the screen and on the printout. So now you see an extra field in here called Serviced with a little calendar icon. So this would have looked something like if we sent it to QuickBooks, it would have shown like in and out, $475, and then it would show the date of that first service, which was 8/4/14, and then it would have done, the next item. So this is what we would get in QuickBooks. You would have your in and out, your 3 outside charges, and then it would have the service date of each one of those from the individual route tickets. Is that kind of what you guys are after?
Yes. Now, I noticed that you generated tickets for every single one of those. So I haven't been doing that. Do I have to do that for my job? I've just been using the route schedule and routing them, and posting from there. Am I supposed to be generating tickets?
If you're up to now, you've been using the software just, I think, like you said, just for the routing. If you want to do the billing, you have to have a ticket to match the schedule. And just think of it as, the route schedule is simply just a schedule. It's going to show you what's due and all that, but the ticket is actually what's used for billing.
Okay.
Now, does anyone else have any other question on the billing side of how we could invoice or anything like that? All right. That's really all. If no one else has any other questions, it sounds like you guys are kind of just both getting started with getting Service Program up and running for billing. Some of the other resources you have under this miscellaneous info, you can go to View Online Help. We have our new online help website up. Everyone here is using the Service Program. That is the name of your software. We have a couple products on the market, so everything you're looking at, just make sure you're in your category here. And then we can definitely look at billing, how to set up memorized transactions in the Service Program, which is a different way to build functions like memorized transactions in QuickBooks. And we have on the route side, where is it here? Routing. Or for Tony, especially for the rentals, we have all these different options here as far as rental inventory setup. If you want to get started, here's a quick video, how to set up the rental items in QuickBooks, how to set it up in the service program. For rental billing, we have a couple different little diagrams that go over the different fields, how they all correlate for different scenarios. So we're constantly adding online help to these different categories. So please, guys, you can do a global search up here in the top right. Search for anything you need. It'll bring all the resources right to your fingertips. And I hope everyone has a great morning. Look forward to seeing you in the class this afternoon if you're registered for that one as well. Otherwise, have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.